All right. Wow, it's good to be back. Our second recorded episode for Shane and Missy Jewell for the LOPA and also organ donations. We are going to be educating people over the next certain amount of years to hopefully get people to come aboard with us to not only help donate organs, but also for people who have gotten organs and other stuff too, Missy, right? To help, bring them forward so they can tell their story,
Yeah,
right?
tell their stories, help those that need, want help to write their first letter, um, bring families together. There's endless possibilities.
Yeah,
with
and last week we kind of went into your story and how Reese was had passed away, and again I can't even imagine. I am so sorry for your loss, and I know that that's difficult. And I, as a parent, I am right there next to you. You and I are definitely on the same page. Um, we recorded last week. We went into the detail how your son had saved four people's lives, and we're going to get in farther into that as we go along. And you, as a mother of a son who was an organ donor, and how you feel and felt through the whole process. Um, I'd like to take a moment and talk about how. Let's talk about LOPA. Let's get into LOPA, right? Because this is like the ground level stem for you is LOPA. We did talk about LOPA last week. LOPA is the organization that helps people get on a list for organ donation, as well as, like you said last week, many other things, correct?
Many other things, yes.
Okay, so what does LOPA mean to you as a mom, as a person? What does LOPA mean to you?
I think the first thing I'd like to say is love.
Okay.
There's a lot of love there coming from multiple avenues. You have, the nurses that are there when your loved one is critically ill. And it's a decision that you have to make if they, become technically brain dead. And there's a lot of myths out there that I just want to squash right now. And, so many people think that they don't, once somebody says that they're willing to give up their organs, they're just going to let them die. That is the biggest myth out there. They did everything they could to try to save my son's life. It's just hospital protocol, any type of trauma that comes in. And most people have their heart on their license and they're able to just, know. But because Reese was underage, they had to ask me. And believe me, it hit me kind of hard, at first. But the biggest thing, like I said last episode, is because I went to the DMV with Reese and we had that discussion, we raised awareness, with him. He understood it and he decided to be an organ donor. That's what made it easy for me.
So how did you have that conversation with him? What was said during that conversation? I'm sure a lot of parents are wondering, how do you have a conversation with a young man at 16 years old to be an organ donor? How did you have that conversation with him from your aspect?
Well, from my aspect, we're there, filling out all the information for him to be able to get his driver's license. And one of the questions that the DMV worker asks is, do you want to be an organ donor? And Reese asked, he said, what's that mean? So I went into the conversation with him. She had, a little pamphlet of information, but I guess because of my nursing background, I knew what it was, and I explained it, to him in detail. And his comment to me was, if I'm not going to make it, then I want others to live. Yes, definitely. So, never thinking that 4 days later he'd be in an MVA and, pass away from complications from the accident. But while I was at the hospital, once we knew that Reese wasn't going to make it, they have a LOPA nurse that is there. Her name was Katie Gidry. I know she has another last name, but anyway, um,
Aliases.
she she stood by my side. She kept me updated on everything. You know, she sat next to Reese. She never left Reese. From the time that he was, declared critically brain dead. She stayed by his side. She saw to it that he was taken care of, even in death. Uh, she was there by his side. They do a hero walk where you walk down the hallway, and the hospital was lined with kids and family. We were all there, and they call it the hero walk, and we all got to say goodbye. They don't stop. They keep on going. And everybody cheers, for him, and of course cries. But she was with him until, everything was over with, and she assured me that, even in death he was taken care of, at the hospital. Um, and I mean, that's kind of like their first step, and they have volunteers out there, they have mentors out there, they have sponsors out there. Everyone that they come together, they give you information, they give you the opportunity to talk or not talk. They don't push you, they give you time, and then they help you through the process of grief. Um, as a nurse, I'm going to say, yeah, there are stages of grief, but you don't follow them like, in the line. I mean,
No, that's just a
technically,
guideline, and
it's a
everybody thinks that.
guideline.
Yeah,
Yeah, and,
everybody
and you
thinks
can
that the
bounce.
grief is this. That's not. You can go back from anger to crying to back to anger real quick, and there's I mean, there's been proven fact that even in loss of death that there's no right way or wrong way to grieve.
Correct. And the thing that really got me through it, I kept thinking to myself, I said, I'm never going to accept it. I can't, I won't. And I said, the only way that I can keep going right now is just to keep on thinking that he's off, on a trip with my in-laws. They went to Key
Yeah,
West, and he'll be home, because he would leave for a couple weeks at a time to go spend time with his father, or he would go on vacations with my in-laws. And so I was used to him not being around at times, so it was easier for me just to say, okay, he'll walk through the door one day. So that's the first way I was able to actually deal with it, let's just say. Probably the first 2 or 3 months, I don't remember it. People tell me, oh, you said this, you did this. I don't. Sometimes when they tell me, I'll be like, oh yeah, I do remember that. Or I'm like, I have no clue. I was just
yeah,
in,
and you can go into shock. I mean,
I
there
was
is a
in
thing
shock.
called shock, and shock is very real.
Mm.
I as a soldier, I trust you. Shock is very real. There have been a
Yeah.
lot of circumstances where people have been in shock. So,
And you're just in survival mode, really.
yep,
It's like,
yep,
you're only thinking of the here and now, and what am I going to do? What am I, going to say? What am I going to think? And then you have luckily I have a beautiful family, surrounding me, friends. Um, so many people were there for me, throughout all of that.
and
But
and you
then,
it took a long time though, right? This wasn't something like it was, not 6 months. It didn't take a
no,
year. It
no,
took a long time for you to get through this, correct?
correct. In May 30th, it'll be 4 years. And only, I'd say probably in the past year, have I gotten to the point where I can sit here and talk to you without bawling or shutting down. Um, Lori Steele with LOPA, she kind of helped me break out of my shell a little bit by inviting me out to educate. I think my first one was some students in the medical program at River Parishes Community College here in, I think it's in Gonzales, Louisiana. And, I was there, and we had, they set it all up. They got in touch with, I had met Reese's heart recipient by then, and they actually did a Zoom call, and Mark and Kathy, who live in Oklahoma, they came in on the Zoom call with the class, and they explained, how organ donation changed their lives. and I shared my side of the story, and they really learned a lot. And then there was a few other classes that I went to, and then I went to Woody's crew bash, and I was really shy, um, but I have found that when I talk about Reese, I start it makes me smile. I think about him and his life and his legacy, and his, you know, heroic choice to become an organ donor and saving 4 people's lives is it.
At his age,
I,
though, right?
at his age,
At the
at
age
six,
of
yes,
at
at
16.
16. Hmm.
Think about that for a minute. I want anybody that listens to this, which I know there's going to be a lot of people, think about that for just 1 second. Think about a 16-year-old young man. Most men, most boys ain't even close to even worried about organ donation at 16,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
16-year-old young man made an adult decision
Yes,
to save lives, not knowing that something was going to happen to him.
correct.
And just because, and again, there's the myth out there, if you sign the organ donation, something's going to happen to you. No, that's not true. There's tons of people that are organ donors, and the gentleman I was talking today when I was making gumbo showed me he was an organ donor, right?
Hmm.
So there's so much there that people, and again, as we go through this, you and I, we will squash the myths, right? You and I are going to take the time. This isn't going to be a 3-episode series.
No,
Everybody needs to understand we're going to be here a long time talking about this, right?
that is correct.
Your
Yes,
story is not just a 1-2 day talk about. Your story is a lifetime of talking.
yes,
And what you've done and how you've created this by going out and the trials and tribulations of first getting through the shock of losing somebody very, very loving to you.
yes.
And you have another son.
I do, Jack.
So not only did you lose one, but you have to try to get through to your son that's here to try to help him, right? So there's so much that you and I are going to have to talk about. I'm telling you, people, people, listen to me right now. This is going to go on a long time. And this lady right here, look, I'm going to point this way because that's what she is going to help you. And you need to take the time and listen to this and understand her. Okay. This next Saturday, we got a special guest coming. It's a
Yeah,
doctor. We're going to be bringing people in here to talk. People need to get this out so people understand that this young lady right here went through a lot. I mean, look, I got water out of my eyes. You know what I'm
see,
saying? And oh my gosh, yes, and I'm a man that cries. So what? But
real men cry.
yeah, but and Woody Overton, how much he loves this, and Cindy, and all them, and Real Life for Crime and Buddy Angola. They talk about this all the time, and Real Life for Crime daily. Woody is so passionate about this. Eventually, he'll be on here to talk, and we want people to understand that we're doing this. It's not about money for us. This is about education.
Yes, awareness.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a counselor. I'm none of that. I'm an average person that walks around the street and goes hunting some fishing. And my friend that sits next to me every Saturday, she's a nurse.
Yeah,
We didn't know each other until Crew Bash. We've hit it off. I mean, she's an angel to me. I'm hearing this story for my first time myself, so you all have to forgive me. This is bothering me just as much as it's going to bother you as you hear this story. The Reese Gorman hunt is going to be every year. It's going to be a sponsored hunt. Her and I have been talking about this. We're going to get shirts made up for the people who come out here and hunt. There's so much going to happen with what we're going to be doing out there to the world that I'm hoping and praying, Missy, that you and I get, even if it's 5 people that come on here that ask and say, hey, can I get help? Or
yeah,
send you an email, right?
yeah. And if I can bring people together, families together, donors that want to meet recipients that want to meet donors, helping writing that first letter, busting myths about, all of the things that are out there about organ donation. The importance of discussing and knowing your loved one's wishes, and I understand that organ donation is not for everyone. Not there are, certain religious things and people
Absolutely.
that just can't do it. And you know, I would never judge anyone for, you have a right of choice, but I still want everyone to know
The true
how
facts.
precious that choice is, whether you make it or not.
You
and
gave up a blessing of life.
yes,
You lost a blessing of life to save others,
yeah,
right?
yes.
That
But
young man had no clue what was going on, right? And he is
no,
just a blessing in the sky.
that's
And
very,
for me and my wife to hear that story, and in those videos you sent me today, whew, can't even start talking about those right now. There ain't no way. There's some things we'll talk about offline, but yeah,
yeah,
no, I am so excited that we get to go out and educate. Not everybody needs to be an organ donor, and that's by any means, but it's the education for the people that are on the fence about it. Maybe this will help
yeah,
them understand a little more, right? Because as a father, as a dad, if my daughters or my son needed an organ and I was terminally going to die, I would give up my organs to take care of my kids.
hmm,
And I would hope that people would look at it more that way, right?
yes,
Just because a stranger gets the organ doesn't mean that they're not loved, right? It just means that you just save somebody's life, and that way they can go out and spread the word and help somebody else out.
that's
This
right.
is like
Yeah,
pay it forward in a way, like the movie Pay It
exactly.
Forward.
And
You know what I mean?
and definitely, in the future, I'd like to discuss about the living donors, people who are still alive that can donate a kidney, that can donate a portion of their lung, that can donate a portion of their liver and still, live, and someone else can live too, if you're able to, and if you match.
And then
So
I
that's to
also,
come.
but people don't understand this, that we're talking about really hard stuff for you to discuss. And we're going to go over how it affected your son, Jack, now, right? We're going to go
Yes.
over that about him. And and people need to understand what he went through as well with you and everything else, right?
Hmm.
I know there's so much to this backstory that people will never, they will get eventually, but I want people will understand the true story of everything. It's not just about organ donation, right? I
No,
mean, I
no.
think people see this as just, I don't want them to think we're talking about this for them to be organ donors. There's so much more to this. It's about taking care of other children that you have in your house. It's about taking care of your life, right? It's about
Yes.
learning to accept things or to understand things,
Yeah,
not really
most
accept,
importantly.
but understand, right?
Correct.
I mean,
Yep.
life and death is yeah, there it is. Life and death is still one of those things that people will never understand and never will. But
Yep.
you believe in God, and hopefully, if people that don't, there's a place for it, and I do. So I think there's a place for it. To be honest
Yeah,
with you.
yes. And then, you think about the critically ill people that are, laying in the bed, they can't breathe, or they're hooked up to a dialysis machine, 24/7, or, their heart's given out on them, and they're just waiting on that perfect match, and they might or they might not get it. But, in the case of Jacob, Reese's kidney recipient, he had been on the list for years. They could not find a perfect match. My son was his perfect match. And, he was 18 years old, living every night, on a dialysis machine. Now he's off of it and he's having a normal life now. Um,
And I mean, I want to get into his side of it too eventually. I hope that
mhm,
you and I could talk about that. I know there's a lot of things. I think I read this last week. There's a lot of survivor's guilt and stuff like that. And
very true.
we really need to. We'll have to dive more into that, and maybe we can bring somebody in to help us with that as well. But I know you've seen it and know a lot about it.
I do. I
And
do.
so let's talk about statistics. Lori had sent you something on Facebook about. I'm sure you have it, right?
Yeah, I have some 5 facts about organ donation.
I about fell over when I seen this. I cannot even. Yeah, you and I got something very special to do when you get to Wisconsin. Very special to do, and I'm
Okay.
so excited that I'm not even going to tell you.
Wow. I'm ready. Whatever. You just let me know.
Oh, I will. I will. Our time is going to show up quick. So let's go over some of the numbers that they've shown over. Just as
Yeah.
a general thing
This
for
is,
people.
yeah.
We're getting close to time, so let's go over the numbers. How many people are on the list? Did they say today?
Well, let's see. They say over 104,000 people in the United States are currently on the waiting list for a life-saving organ transplant. And believe it or not, this is the lowest that it has been since 2009 because people are
Wow.
starting to spread the word. Yes. And the list topped at 124,000 at its height in 2014. It's a lot of people. But
And how many organ donors, does it say how many organ donors are out there?
Not specifically on this one, but I will have more fun facts coming up for sure.
Okay, so next week, next week we'll come up with the fun facts. But
yeah,
yeah,
well,
if you think about how many people
here, I do have a couple things to say here. So
yeah, go ahead.
one person can save 8 lives and enhance 75 others through organ, eye, and tissue donation. So that's the first fun fact. Second one, on an average, 150 people are added to the nation's organ transplant waiting list each day, one every 10 minutes. A
Wow.
living donor can provide a kidney or a portion of their liver, lung, and pancreas, or their intestine to someone in need. More than 1/3 of all deceased donors are age 50 or older, and nearly 10% are age 65 or older. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm old, they don't want my organs. Yes, they do. That you can still save lives no matter how old you are. And then anyone can become a potential organ donor regardless of age, ethnicity, or medical history. So food for thought there.
I think that's yeah. Whew, that's crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean,
So before we close out this episode, we didn't ask all of our questions for today. And remember, everybody, this isn't scripted.
no.
We do have questions that we kind of have, but it'll go off track a lot. But
Yeah,
I want you to tell another story about
about
Reese.
Reese.
And every time, everybody, when we end the show, she's going to tell us a story about her son.
Okay.
And go ahead.
So Reese was a sophomore in high school going into his junior year when he passed. Well, during the year of his graduation in 2021, his high school, East Ascension High School in Gonzales, Louisiana, they are the Spartans, and he received the first ever Spirit of the Spartan Award. And they said that his spirit lives on because of the impact he had on others and for his heroism in life and in death. And the core values at East Ascension High School is learning, teamwork, leadership, and service in all aspects of life. So through his selfless act of organ donation, they gave him the Spirit of the Spartan Award in 2021. And
wow,
they actually honored him, yes, at the award ceremony, and they allowed one of Reese's friends to accept the award on family's behalf. So I have a recording of that we can share with everyone. That my camera was, I was so nervous. I was like getting the backs of people's heads. But
yeah,
at least
there's good now. Everybody has to understand there's going to be a lot of sharing. There's going to be sharing about our lives too, us cooking, and we're going to share our lives with everybody. Us going hunting together, and the boys going hunting. We're going to share our lives with everybody so they can see that we're just average, ordinary, everyday people.
Yeah.
And we're on a mission right now, and our mission is to put out a word. And I can't thank you enough for doing this with me. And I cannot. It's just amazing that your story is as strong as you are. And I told you this without even being on here. You're one of the strongest women I've ever met. And what a blessing for us to be able to do this.
It's my
And
passion. It is. It is what I live for. Just, sharing Reese's legacy, and raising awareness about organ donation and how it can change everyone's life involved.
yep. And we'd like to thank Woody Overton and Cindy for
Yes.
helping us again to get this together. I can't thank Real Life Real Crime enough. The Crew Bash, Woody, what he's done as just a person to go out and man, he's blown this way up, and it's just crazy to me. And anybody from anywhere in the world can do this, right? If you picked, I don't know, let's pick the Ozarks,
Yeah.
right? if you're a person in the Ozarks, you can go out, go to lopa.com, become an organ donor.
Lopa.org. Just go there.
Lopa.org. Okay, let's
Yeah.
get this right. Let's not screw this up, because then I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah,
We'll cut that out
Lopa.org.
later. No, I'm just kidding. We ain't cutting
It does
nothing.
not matter where you live. You can go to the Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency's website and register to become a donor in your country, your state, your.
That's right. And that's how, this is going to grow, and we're going to do it. And thank you for Woody for everything you've done for us, both of us. And we're going to thank you every time we do a show. So
That's right.
go out and listen to Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, Woody Overton, and you'll get to hear a lot about Lopa and his cases and everything he's done. What a great man. And his wife, Cindy. Oh,
Awesome.
she's an angel.
Awesome people.
We won't tell her that, but she's an angel.
All
right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Missy. And I appreciate you as always.
Yes. And happy Mardi Gras, everyone. I wore my Mardi Gras.
Oh, yeah. Happy Mardi Gras this week. Wow. I forgot it's Mardi Gras. I'm glad I'm in Wisconsin. That's all I got to say, because she went to a parade and I didn't.
Yes.
So Saturday, we will be recording again, everybody. Hopefully we can get these out to YouTube quick and fast, so we can get everybody start watching and sharing this. And then we are going to have a doctor come aboard, and he's going to talk about a lot of stuff. And we're going to have a lot of interesting questions for him. I'm going to put him to the test.
There you go.
Because I actually know him really well. He's actually a great guy, but I'm still going to harass him because I love him.
We do that to the ones we love, right?
That's right. All right. Well, thank you again, Miss. I appreciate you very, very much.
Hey, I'm gonna say, see you later, alligator.
After a while, crocodile.
God bless.
God bless.